Okay, so, well, this is a Pavlov tutorial, as you can see here, because I'm loaded up into the thing. I don't know if there's any audio for the background, but it's whatever. But this tutorial, it'll be talking about on the settings, what's the best settings, and what's the shittiest ones. The best setting there is, it's not even listed in settings, because, well, it's actually a pretty overpowered feature that is actually good. It's the gun offset adjuster, which it's kind of self-explanatory if you really think about it. You're able to change the position of your gun, which, if you don't know, you just saw that it was applied already on mine. I'm sick, so you're gonna hear a lot of coughing, weird ass noises, and maybe sneezing. But because there's gonna be like no cuts at all, I'm just saying this because, well, I tried to make the other tutorial with separate videos, but, well, it's whatever. But anyways, this, you're able to change the position on your guns. There's three: tilt. Well, you can see it right there. It's quite obvious. This, up, forward, up, forward, backward, down. These these ones are the two offset adjustments that you want to do. If you just want to go for accuracy, yeah, you could set it to the max on both. But if you were to go like to where you're just spraying and praying, just do this. Because I wouldn't recommend it like this. I would not. I would not. Because, well, it's not perfectly lined up with your controller. That's why. But when you put it to this, it's lined up. Your controller's like perfectly matching the grip. If you look side by side to it. Maybe if I move it down a little. Yeah, it's perfectly matching up now. And you can see here, and this also applies to pistols if you put edit all weapons, which pistols, it's what you're going to want, because if you're going for SND rounds and it's a pistol round, you're going to need this, because when I first fucked around with this, I was getting way better headshots, way better like accuracy than I had way back then, because they only added this in like, I forgot what update. It was like a Halloween update, because I remember always going into the shooting range in an update, and then I saw this here, and I have no reason to check anymore. But as you can see here, there's going to be other settings. These settings, well, these ones are essential. If you're like on Quest 2, yeah, it says it right here. Enabling gore will impact your performance. And that is true, because I've done it in like a server to where I test blood, or like no blood, and yeah. But the arm kill feed, it's kind of self-explanatory. Just this is for example. If I were to, well, suicide, it'll only show up in the leaderboard. But if I enable arm kill feed, you'll see it right there. Which, arm kill feed, it's way easier because you'll know if your teammates are dead, or because in SND, it's a good idea to use your teammates as like an indicator where the enemies are. You just tell them, "Oh, if I see you dead in the kill feed, I'm gonna know." That's like an example right there. But these are other settings. Hide ammo count, yeah, this is like for certain game modes. But if you're like in a game mode like modern shooting, like right here, or on the World War II, because It only show up in the World War II game modes, TTT, hide, but that's right about it. Hand smoothing, which it does actually give a small amount. Like for example, if I disable it, you'll notice my hand shaking right now. I'll be able to move faster, but with hand smoothing, you can move just as fast, but and yeah, your aim will be a little bit better like that. But if you disable it, your aim might be all over the place. Unless if you got not so shaky hands. I got very shaky hands. I need to get some weights to stabilize it, but it's whatever. Oh yeah, and there's plenty of other things like gun stocks, all that for it. But that's about it for that yapping right there. But the input, it's kind of self-explanatory if you know what this is. But if you don't know what this is, like for example, artificial turn, which it's snap turn. You'll be snapping around like which I highly recommend like switch it to smoothing because well you can turn in a full 360 toggle grip mode. Hold up. Wait, what? Oh yeah, I forgot. Enabled that. What the hell? Okay, well, that feature's basically broken. The toggle grip mode, yeah, you'll be able to like just press your trigger and it would probably like latch into your hand until you press it again or like grab again like well considering it's broken from my concept if you were to let go it wouldn't fall out your hand but once you press it again it'll just fall out your hand and auto sprint. This is one setting I always use, pretty much thanks to Call of Duty, is, well, you auto sprint. It's way better to have auto sprint, though, because you don't have to push a button. Because I always used to push a button to run, and that shit was kind of hell, because I was going, like, doing that to get my kills, but I no longer need to do that anymore, because, well, the button. And especially auto sprint, it can also be used for other games. Oh, inventory log. It's when you look down, you'll see inventory. If I disable this, my inventory will be like this. And these, I haven't played around with these because I know what they are. Input vector, which the input vector, it's where I believe to where your body will move accordingly to where you're moving. I'll see if I can test it right now. Yeah. Offhand, oh yeah, that that one. Yeah, I so want to switch it just for a video, but that it's basically the movement vector. The input vector is what they call it to make it shorter, but the input vector, just like I showed you, it's the movement vector to where if you use your hand, it'll move where you're pointing your hand. But if you have it to head, which head, it's way better if you're using the head vector because, well, you can move any direction, no problem, like any other VR shooter. But video setting, if you're like on a Quest 3, Quest 3S, or I believe a high end one, the Pico VR, or like some other one, I would suggest putting it to quality because, well, you'll be able to see things way clearer in the distance. But if you put it to performance, you'll start to notice it a little bit. The quality looks a little shit, which it's reasonable. You can see it by just looking at the screen there. Balanced, it's like pretty much both. I remember setting it to balanced, and it's just as good and balanced, but still prefer quality because you'll be able to see things way clearer. But if you're on Quest 2, I would suggest balanced or performance. Because quality, if you're like to where there's no mods and shit, then yeah. About audio settings, I always disable the music because the music kind of feels a little bland. Sorry, devs, because the music, it kind of does sound a little bit bland. But the channel volumes, if you play a lot of VR shooters or you know volumes, this is pretty self-explanatory. But for those that don't know, master is like your full audio to where everything will either be muted or you won't hear it at all. But voice chat, yeah, if you lower this down, you won't be able to hear anyone. If you max it, you'll be able to hear everyone. Music, well, yeah, that music thing, yeah, it's quite self-explanatory. I don't have to explain that one. The virtual stock, though, I didn't go over this one. This setting, it takes time to get used to because, well, your hand's like locked in place. I'm moving my hand around like this, which I always recommend to disable it if you're gonna go for like S&D close quarter combat with shotguns, SMGs, or rifles. But if you're going for long range fights or like you doing the Blood and Iron mod, then yeah, I'll go over the Blood and Iron mod in a later time. But that's about it with this tutorial, which I hope this helps. I'll play around. See you guys later.